Hello everyone. It is time for the Soma show, and today we are going to have a lot of belly laughs with Anna Jarecki, who is, I call her my sugar mama. She's the owner of Nourish Skin Spa in Wauwatosa and will currently be expanding. She's expanding in a lot of ways. She's about to be a mother again. And we talked about sugaring, so we'll answer all your burning questions on that, a lot about skincare, raising kids in this day and age, and how to do it all in a really genuine way. I think you're really going to enjoy this. And at the end of the show, she'll give some great tips, so stick around for that, for how to have happy, nourished skin. Please enjoy this super fun and way too short interview with Anna. Cheers. Welcome. So we are drinking our non-caffeinated, non-alcoholic drink.
Thank you.
Because Anna, if you're just listening and you're not watching, is pregnant. It's very exciting.
Yes.
I'm super excited.
Me too.
To find this out. And it was a cool story because you kind of got to skip the first trimester.
I did. I found out at 3 months, which was crazy for me because I've always prided myself on knowing early and then
knowing your body.
Yeah, knowing my body and my body. Yeah, I was not listening this time
you
around.
weren't listening.
I wasn't
In
at all.
retrospect, though, you...
Oh, for sure. I mean, how many COVID tests did I get? Because I was sick. I mean, people keep asking me, well, did you not feel pregnant? And I did. But I just thought it was COVID or stress or whatever. But yeah.
Isn't that nuts? The body just has to knock harder and harder before we hear it.
Yes, and the body and mind. I've said that that show. They didn't know they were pregnant.
No.
Well,
when they're giving birth.
Yes, and it falls out in the toilet or whatever. I've always been BS. That is not.
Yeah.
I just don't believe it because. Again, I'm so in tune with my body. But this...
All high and mighty.
So as my butt was getting bigger, and I was like, what is happening to my body? And then I buy a Nordic track bike, because I'm I'm gaining weight. I don't know what's happening. So then when I finally did find out I was pregnant, and my body and my mind, it's they connected, and my belly, I could feel it growing, and I'm
it's like you relaxed into the truth.
And everything started flowing better and together, and I can see how our minds are so powerful that they can control the physical, right?
Very true. Yeah.
It made me apologize to all the girls or women that I probably that I watch that show, and I'm I don't believe you at all, but I do think that it's so connected, that your mind and body, and you really have to listen to your body. Mm-hmm. Be more intuitive.
Yeah. I think it's really cool. I mean, and it's not like you didn't go through struggle in the beginning, but
no,
there is that. I think with the second baby too, I remember that you just show sooner. I think your body remembers.
Yeah. Oh yes.
But also, you just allow it. It's I don't have to hold it in.
Yes.
That awkward in-between time doesn't last as long.
Yeah, no, that's very true. Yeah, I mean, and I think that's exactly what happened at that point. I was finally I can just relax. I don't need to, be holding it in.
That's exciting.
I know, it is exciting.
Are you feeling the baby?
A lot, yes.
A lot
yes, he moves a ton. It's a boy.
Yeah.
And he is, he's going to be just like my other kids.
Mm-hmm.
They never stop moving.
Never
stop moving. Yeah.
Well, and they'll be able to help corral.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it'll be great. And I told you for this pregnancy, it's a little different. I've always done my births at home, but this time it's the C-section. So it's just a new journey that we're taking, and
because Anna did everything very natural, very at home, and the placenta is underneath, tipped underneath. How is that?
So my cervix is covering my placenta. It's called placenta previa, and you cannot have a virginal or a virginal can't have a virginal birth or a vaginal birth.
The two are
what a Freudian
true
slip
here.
there.
Yeah.
But so I do have to have, and typically it moves it's supposed to move away, and again,
and
my body that has just been super.
Your vagina's like, listen, I've had enough.
Yeah, pretty much, right?
Something else can take it for the team here.
Oh yeah, so I am doing a C-section, and I'm very lucky to have a nurse midwife friend that works at Freighter, and I got in with her, and I'm feeling really comfortable about it. So I think it'll be good.
And you said something interesting the last time we talked about this. Like, I mean, of course, we want to do things the way we think they should. It's our ego, probably.
Absolutely, yeah.
But you pointed out that it's going to probably bring you closer. It's one more thing that you can have in common with some clients.
Yes.
So, like a way to bond.
Just,
and a way to,
yes, like relatability. I think with what I do, we get close quick. Like, that's just kind of the name of the game. But that's kind of like, I think, as I can say this now that I'm older and I've lived a lot of life, that's just kind of like the person I am. Like, right. I do get close quick. Like, that's just, if I vibe with a person, like, it's pretty quick. And I do, I mean, it is my ego with the home births. Like, I'm just, it's like nice, like, yes, I did
because you crush
natural.
it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I loved it. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I have no judgment for however you want to do your birth, but this does make it kind of neat for me to be more relatable to other women.
Right.
And to, don't be afraid of C-sections or it'll just be an interesting experience to be able to share now with other people.
Yeah, I thought that was a really great perspective to take.
Yeah.
Not just because I try to get over disappointment really fast, and try and see the silver lining or whatever, but that's really a very true thing.
Yeah. Thanks.
Connection. So I'm going to let you take over, but I have to let people. So what?
Like what I do?
Yeah, because that's what we all want to
yes.
do. What is sugar? So I met Anna through another awesome sister years and years ago. So you do skincare, you're an esthetician, and then waxing, and then in the more recent years, sugaring. And I will point out, I want you to explain to everyone what that is, but I will point out, like, while I'm on the table getting sugared, it's not a pleasant experience, because hair is getting out of you. Yes. But you are really good. Like, you'll ask a question, and I don't know if you do it intuitively or because you do connect like right away, and I'll be laughing and like not
getting hair pulled out of your body.
Hair pulled out, and I kind of know while it's going on, and I'll let myself get into whatever it is you want to talk about. But usually you're asking questions or making us laugh, and so I think it's also a good technique.
Yeah.
You have good technique.
Thank you.
Distraction technique. Yes. So tell everyone what sugaring is all about. Okay,
so sugaring is a form of hair removal like waxing, except you're using a different. The method is different, and so is the sugar. Sugar just contains sugar, lemon juice, and water, and it's a paste. And the two biggest, differences from wax is that we pull with the hair as opposed to against the grain, and also that whole thing that it's like chemical free. It's not hot, so everyone does a lot better with it because with wax there's all these sensitivities that come up. It rips off your skin. It's just it's not a good process. As an esthetician, the reason I found sugaring is as an esthetician I have a passion for skincare, right? Like skin, and I like to keep it healthy. And then I would wax people, which I really like to do because it's like that instant gratification. But I would be apologizing the whole time. Like, they would leave, and I'm like, I'm sorry, you're bruised and battered. Right. Have a nice few days. Like, it just
go crawl into
bad. Yeah. So finally, when I did fine sugar, I stopped waxing altogether because in my head it just like didn't make sense anymore to do something so harmful, while I'm doing something so natural and wonderful for our bodies. So That's kind of what got me into it. Now, it's huge on the coast. Like in California, there's, and my sister lives in Washington, every street corner there's like a sugaring place. But, you know, typical of the Midwest, things just travel here a little bit later. So I am one of the only, and I'm also teaching people how to do it because I do really believe that it's a better method, and I think waxing should just kind of like go away.
Yeah, just F off.
Yeah, pretty much.
So if anyone's interested, she is an instructor.
Yes.
I really like it. I mean, I guess there is the whole, it feels better.
It does.
It feels better.
I mean, when you're pulling with the grain, if you think about it, just naturally that's going to feel better.
Right.
And then we stay very consistent, but every 4 weeks, which there's like this whole science behind it, which is cool too. People really like this, is that our hair goes through these cycles, and at 4 weeks is a perfect time to actually damage the follicle. So your hair grows back weaker, or it doesn't grow back at all. So you get over your first time, which is always a bummer. I mean, we said like you're pulling hair out of your body, it hurts. But the next time it'll just get easier and easier as you're consistent. Okay. So yeah, it's it's really great.
Yeah, I would say like the second time. So Anna was doing my bikini area.
Yes.
And I was just relaxing on the table, and she's like looking at my arms. And I had let them go just because it's fun to like have. It's fun to have that contrast, right?
Yes.
And so Claire, she's like, "Do you want me to take care of that?" I'm like, "Sure." And holy shit!
Because that was your first time, right?
Yes. Time.
Yeah.
And it was very shocking. But then I forgot. I'm sure it was in my my bikini area the first time too.
Yes, like you kind of forget. Yeah,
you forget, and then it gets easier. So it definitely did.
Yeah.
And now I have her do the fronts of my legs too, which is it's kind of cool. It's like this all fresh because that's the way I like it.
Well, and then you don't have to shave. You know, I mean, there's like you kind of take that part out, and the grow back is really slow, and and then
it's like a honey too. It's like this
it's gorgeous
honey. It is.
Yeah, it is a pretty thing to play with, like just like to have. Yeah, it's just pretty. And then to your point with talking to people throughout, like there is something special about sharing that time with someone, and I think that that's a big part of my business too, is establishing relationships. Like I do find that to be really important, and I've just recently hired 2 other estheticians, sugarers that I taught, and part of the reason, I'm lucky because I get to vet who I am teaching to see if I'd like to hire them, and both of them they have like these personable skills that just I knew would go so well with my vibe. So that I do think that part of it is really important, and sometimes it's just like something you can't teach. It's like either you have it or you don't.
Right. They're people.
They are.
Yeah.
They're And when you're hurting someone, and then to like you have to like also put them at ease. It's like it's this really weird place to be in. So it takes someone special.
Right.
It does.
And to say it's intimate is like an understatement because like you have to be prying and
there's a lot of stuff happening.
Yeah. It is. It's kind of for me anyway. Since I had kids and probably before then, I view my body as like the most special temple, and then at the same time, nothing special.
Like
right?
Yes.
We all have, women have vaginas, we all have, hair on our body.
Right.
Like this is actually just super fun.
Yes.
Like we're human bodies, and, with these spirits like in them for a while.
And so I like
bring that home.
And it kind of, I think that I get to help people with that journey, right? Yeah. Like some people come in their first time and I'm the second person that's seen their vagina, right?
Yeah.
And I think that helping them feel more comfortable about their bodies and say, 90% of my clients say the first time I see them that, oh my God, I'm so sorry I'm hairy. I'm so sorry. And I'm like, holy cow. Like, and my answer will be every time is that you're not the hairiest I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. Even if you were, though.
Even if you were, I would lie.
Like, who cares, though? Who really, honestly, like, bodies are bodies.
I have a couple friends who are growing it all out. Just to experience it. It's like that's how we evolved. It's for a reason.
No, I'm just kidding. I mean, okay.
Good for you guys. That's so not me, but
I'll tell them to call me in a week.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to figure it out. But that's interesting how we like, I'm very careful with apologies.
Yes.
Because I know my kids.
Me
say
too.
they're sorry about stuff. It's
yeah.
like, well, are you really sorry? Do you regret? Like, that's I don't know. I try to be proud of my body and all its scars and whatever. And certainly anymore we like hair. So
yes,
yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
So what was your journey from? Like, when did you know you wanted to get into like aesthetic healthcare?
Oh,
and what was that all like?
So that was years ago. I think we graduated probably, I think 12 years ago now, 12 or 13 years. And I had been, my degree in college was graphic design and marketing. I never really fell into that. Like I did, so I had worked, my mom owns a company that does background reports on doctors. Mm-hmm. So I started working there, kind of moved myself up the ranks, and it was interesting and nice to work with my mom, but it was very it's office work, and I am more of a creative people person, so it was really hard. I knew I was like missing something. Mm-hmm. So I initially went back to school at IBW to become an esthetician. I thought I wanted to do makeup. Mm-hmm. And I found out that was not what I was passionate about, but I did love the skincare aspect of it. And I did always, like, in my head thought that it was going to be like a part-time thing. Mm-hmm. But it just grew. Like, I truly do really love what I do for a living. And it's been, I still find it so interesting. Like, the thing about being an esthetician, you can go to school for it, get that certificate, but it is education from there on out. Like, you have to keep up with, exactly, like online courses or whatever. I've worked at med spas, I've worked at regular spas, hair salons. Like, I've really bounced around, and from every job, even if I didn't like it, I've taken so much. I've learned so much from every single job that I've ever had and the people that I've worked with. So it's been a neat journey. I finally decided to go out on my own about 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. After I told you I was apologizing to all. Yeah, talk about apologizing. That's like the number one rule. You're not supposed to apologize, right? And I'm like, I am so sorry. Yeah. I feel so bad for you. So I finally, that's when I decided, you know what, I can do this on my own, and
why drag someone else kicking and screaming?
Right.
Yeah, why not just do it yourself?
Right. So, and I knew what I wanted to do from the beginning, which is almost like atypical of me. Like, I just was talking to this about my husband, like, goals. Sometimes they kind of like freak me out. Like, I kind of run away from goals. Which is like I just like to be like, I'll get there if I can. I'm gonna try, but like, I'm not like a hardcore. I've never been like that. Like,
that's
hardcore
surprising. Or like with rugby or with anything, I've always just seen you like, this is my. I don't know. I've never been like super goal oriented. It doesn't mean that like I don't want to like win. I guess like winning. Don't get me wrong, But this time, I feel like I really made a plan. Like, I was like, I want to be the first sugar in the Midwest. I want to do well, obviously. And I want to be a certified instructor because I knew there was a hole, right, in the market. That's great, yeah.
So I've reached those. Like, I've kind of exceeded them, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. But I guess, like, I never saw myself as like a goal reaching person, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I did it. Like, people can change.
So then, I've done it. So you just showed yourself in a couple years. Yeah. You succeeded at all those things. So now is it easier or more scary to set new goals, bigger goals?
I would say easier, actually. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I think that part of the reason I would say that about goals is because that's scary, the scary aspect. But I think as we live more life, like, I'm just not as afraid as I used to be. Yeah. Of pretty much anything.
Because what are we really fearing anyway, right? I mean,
well, and we're raising kids, right? So what my 10-year-old Cece is, she's a little bit of a worrier, and tell her all the time, like, what does worry do? It does absolutely nothing, right? We're just kind of like spinning our wheels. And I think I take my own advice a lot with that, or I have to, you have to internalize it if you're telling you're giving that advice to children. So,
well, that's probably where I changed a lot of my programming and habits is through them.
Oh,
my
yes.
God, that is so not only useless but harmful to maybe agree with these patterns or programs, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm doing that.
Yes.
Yeah, and really, what's there to worry about? I mean, if you can give birth, if you can, you just are dealing with a death in the family. I mean, there are important things with gravity, and everything else is like, oh, well, it might take a month longer, or I can't pay that bill, like, or what. Would be the worst
even
things.
failure. Honestly, I've had so much fun getting to the point that I'm at. If for some weird reason there was a failure, it would be like, well, that was a good time. Like, it's okay. I would never regret it. I never regret it. I know, right? I'm not apologizing for it.
My goal for this year is to say sorry less.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, that's incredible. So at this point, and I'm baiting here because I already know the answer, but your goal is to grow this business and be able to serve more people. Yes,
very much so. So now we're looking at buildings because the girls and I all share one room, and that's just not, it can't happen anymore. So we're now, I'm looking to expand and find a place that has more space, and Jenny's actually helping me design, which is going to be amazing. My husband's in construction, so it just all kind of like organically has been coming together really nicely. So I'm hopeful that by the time I'm ready to go back to work after the baby, that we'll have more space, we can take more clients. And speaking of organically, the business has grown very organically. Like, I barely advertise or anything, but people, now with their social media,
best advertising, right?
People, my client. Oh my gosh, yes. It's and people put reviews, and it's definitely my clients talk, and then they talk, and then they talk, and so it's been very organic, word of mouth. What I was gonna say about social media, the second there's like an Instagram post or like a Snapchat, I'll get like 5 new clients that day because people watch something, and so it's really great. It's been really awesome. And even during it was interesting because during shutdown I was able to build my website, do online scheduling, or like set all that up, things that I couldn't because I was so busy with the actual clients.
Gave you some time to get ahead.
And then it's just like grown from there. And I do feel like partly it's because people learned during quarantine, they kind of like saw what they couldn't have. Like they started having to take care of themselves. Exactly. And they're like, I will pay to have someone else do it. So it's been, it's actually been good for me. Like it's a weird thing to say, but
no, I agree. It gives you time to, I know I've needed to do this for a while, but I'm scrambling all the time.
Right.
Or because if you don't like do those things, or like now you're looking for the new bigger spot, those take a lot of time and energy. But otherwise you're going to you won't be able to explode.
Right.
Because you have to take those steps and invest that time or invest that money.
Right. Exactly.
If you're going to grow.
And the time is, we just talked about this, like time is money. And even just as recent as last week, I was going to work up until my C-section, and then my body kind of went backwards on me and I threw out my back, so I cannot work. But that's given me all this time to like rebrand and talk, maybe not jump into a building like I was going to because I was just so flustered and like, okay, we got to get this done. Now I actually am giving myself time to like look around and like give myself options, So
kind of pull back and
absolutely,
see the bigger picture. Yeah.
But sometimes, still, like, even though we're talking about like how would or how I'm different from like reaching those goals, I still like my body is the one who like forced me into this break. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not like I was like, Anna, you should really take some time off. Like, I just kept up with the I would have, and I might have made some, I guess, like quote unquote mistakes because I was trying to get all my ducks in order before I went on maternity leave. So sometimes the universe just does that, right? Like it just kind of
like that little could be a deadline. On the other hand, now there's just a different deadline.
Yes.
That's probably more graceful and it's going to be a better fit.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what we're going with.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
you see, you spin it. There's there's a lot of different ways you can do this.
I'll help you spin this. No problem. Yeah, I can see how having, I mean, obviously more rooms. You've got more women working for you, and then you're going to want your schedule and your own room really flexible when you come back with, with or after the baby.
The baby will be in the corner of it probably for a while, yes.
Baby's first words are, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Either that or Brazilian.
Brazilian, yeah. Ouch.
Yeah.
No, really, I don't say ouch. It's pretty
yeah.
It's easy. So what are the, I happen to know because I think you give amazing facials, but are you going to keep doing the other things? And what are the other things?
Yes, actually this move and expanding and having the girls now it's funny because when I started sugaring, I was like, I'm just going to sugar. Like facials can be pretty, and I think we've talked about this, like pretty draining, like energetically, and just it's a lot of time to spend with one person, and it's like they're hour and a half treatments, and so I was like, I'm just going to sugar. Like that instant gratification, like working through my day like that. But the more I talk to people and talk about what I do, and I do, like sometimes I surprise myself that I do have that knowledge, like especially when I say, what do you wash your face with? And they're like, Dove soap. And I'm like, oh my God, like, so I think I have a lot to offer in that realm. Yeah. My girls that I just hired are totally willing to do facials and stuff. So I do offer facials. The one that I really like that I tend to do across the board is a CBD infusion. CBD has, I mean, I know it's trendy, but it's also been it's so good for your skin. It's so good. Like it's just a balancer. It's a really it works across the board. It can be good for acne. It can be good for anti-aging. Yeah, I've had rosacea clients. Like it's been a really kind of magical potion for me. And we do tend to like go more holistic in our services as well. Not that I don't, I do Botox, I get that kind of stuff done too, but there's, I balance it, right? Like when we can figure things out, in a very balanced way. So we will do facials, and then I do lash lifts and tinting. Both of the girls actually, one does henna brows, and the other one is a brow expert actually she worked at Ulta at the brow bar, so she's really into brows. And then also I'm super excited to bring on spray tanning. Oh, cool. Yeah. And I really like to be tanned, so if it's just for me, it is. Okay. It's this, when I was in Nashville, I'm kind of like a girl fan for this studio out there called Anastasia, and I knew that I wanted to visit it. I wanted to get treatments there, and I got a spray tan there, and it was unbelievable. And yeah, it's all organic. It's like a person spraying you, so that's really nice. And it doesn't wear off like funny on your clothes or anything? Well, that night it did, because I didn't shower, and it did. There's like a body print on the sheets, but it was an Airbnb. It was fine. It was fine. I paid a lot. Yeah, exactly. It was totally fine. So you are supposed to shower later that day. You are. Yes, you could. But what I like about spray tans is that I do get tan during the summer. I'm outside a ton. Yeah. I'm not the esthetician that like completely avoids sun. I can't. I try to on my face, but I like the sun. It's vitamin D. It makes me happy. So what I do like about spray tanning is that it's like a good base, instead of like having to like blind everybody with my whiteness, my paleness when I go outside that first time during the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. It is nice to be tan. I've had to turn it around just because of, I think since kids, just the spots, the white and the dark, and then also I was so bad to my skin before. But you're right. Like I keep my face covered.
I keep in my chest. You know, I mean, there's certain areas. But to your point, I mean, if we did a spray tan on you, you wouldn't have to worry about the spots. You could totally be and you could be careful as well. Probably even more so. You know, because you're not like, oh, I just want to get that base. You know. So I think it'll be. I've mentioned it to quite a few clients, and they're like, "Oh, we're super interested." So I think that'll be a good.
I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah.
What's the number one thing that people ask you for?
Oh, like my current services, Brazilians are huge, yeah. And I think it comes from. I mean, my clients really vary, but I think usually it's like a bad experience with wax, or shaving. They get people get a lot of ingrowns. More clients, aside from saying that they're hairy, more clients than not say I have sensitive skin, and I'm like, it's actually not the fact that it's sensitive down there, but it's also if you think about wax has all those chemicals and you don't even know what in it, fragrances. Right. Some people use Nair, which is like horrifying to me, especially in intimate areas.
I did that as when I was younger.
Freaks me out. I mean, good. If it works that well, like what is in it, right?
Right. It's dissolving hair, I think.
Right. Yeah, a little. And then shaving is just as, I mean, if you have sensitive skin or, quote unquote sensitive skin, it's going to be super irritating. Yeah. So more often than not, those are the type of clients that I get. So yeah. And just people looking for a more holistic thing to do.
More pleasant experience.
Yeah. More pleasant.
Yeah. Are there, because you see a lot of people, and you see, I'm sure, every walk of life.
Yes.
Men and women. Is there something that surprises you that concerns all people? Like, do you find people to be more or less confident, or is it like, are there human tics that you wish you could alleviate?
Actually, I would say that's interesting. That's a good question, and the first thing that popped in my head is actually the opposite of that question. So like how people are similar. Because I am lucky in that I have an extremely diverse clientele. And I feel really blessed for that. Like I just think that's across the board. I've noticed that I guess everybody wants this service. Like I've learned a lot about why people want it. Like we just went over, and so I see that similarity in people. I'm trying to think. I do think, yes, like most people are self-conscious about their bodies. I know, when I've had the conversation with my mom, who's like, why? I don't understand. Why do people want hair, not have hair? Like that kind of, it almost like makes me a little bit sad, because I'm like, you're right. Like maybe people should have hair. I think once I went to the vagina monologues once, and there was a little skit about how we should like appreciate our hair, because that's where, or like especially in our pubic region, it was there to like in the winter it gets a little bit thicker, for example, because it's there to protect us, right? Like when we were walking around as cave women and cold, like it's like to protect and to provide warmth. So there is like this little part of me that's like, maybe I should just not do this, like not, but then again, I mean, I think that I'm helping people feel more confident about their bodies and about, because they would just find another method if it wasn't me, right?
Right. Oh, totally.
So it's, I think that like self-confidence, I hope that I help people with that too. Yeah. Like that I talk them through it and normalizing, like a lot of people, I told you about someone earlier that was embarrassed themselves to come in. It took them a while to call me, and I knew that, and when they did, I just kind of went on with it, like, yeah, everything's normal, like you're fine, and I think that helps them, because that's like one more person that like normalized whatever situation they had. They had, a little more hair than other people, and I think they were aware of that, but I didn't make it seem like they
Well,
didn't
it's more
take off their
exciting for
pants, and
you.
I was like, wow! I don't do that. So
I don't do that. I practice ahead.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So nothing really.
I'm gonna bring the other ladies in.
Exactly. Never.
Well, it's just so interesting too, because I know, and this is what I try and tell. You know, we both have daughters.
Yes.
And I try and tell them, I really, truly explain to them, like, the honest truth is, we're so, maybe not critical of ourselves, but we do tend to think that we're special, or somehow everyone else is paying attention to us. And there's that self-conscious aspect, when really everyone's paying attention to themselves and worried about, you know, their, for good, and sometimes, you know, it gets to be a little too much, but it's like, you know what, just be you.
Yes.
Like, if you want hair, great. If you don't want hair, great.
Right.
But we're not that special.
Right. I mean, it's for you.
Right.
So do it for you.
Yeah.
That is one thing I'll say that I do have some women that mention it's for their husband. It's for their boyfriend. And I'm like, really? Because maybe he should come in here and get it done. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it is painful. And it is, I don't think you should ever be, I mean, there's a fine line. I will do things. I'll shower for my husband. Fine.
Fine.
I mean, if he asks.
So high maintenance.
Fine. I know, right?
I'll
put on deodorant if I need to. But I think if this is, if it's something that it's going to like make or break your relationship, then no, I don't think you should be doing that. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I just, my heart always like kind of tightens up a little bit when women do say that. And I'm like, well, I hope he's paying. And maybe next time he could, see, like, flip the switch on him. Like, I'd like to see if he would come in for a service, you know?
Yeah, you're so aware. I think it's interesting because sometimes it would almost seem like what we were talking about is that someone's boyfriend was asking them to get breast implants or
absolutely
liposuction. Like, that's major, you're going under, But it's something I think we all need to think about. Who am I doing this for? And in the end, it's like, if you feel amazing and you feel good, then everyone else thinks you're amazing and you feel good.
Absolutely. Like, it gives me, I think that's like, it gives me a little pause. I wouldn't say that I'm like, oh no, you only do it for yourself. Because there are, like I said, there are certain things that I'll do for my husband because I know it, whatever, it makes him happy, or, like, there's that give and take. Right. But it does give me pause and makes me think like, well, I hope that you're also getting a benefit out of this because you're the one going through it, or even time out of your day. It's not even like the pain thing. It's like, you had to come to this appointment. Like,
you're the one that's showing up here.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Talk to me about the science. Before you were saying how I think because maybe it keeps it fresh too. The constant learning with the products and what's happening. What do you see? Where do you see like the future of? There's more and more that can be done now without surgery.
Yes.
So talk to me about the science of it.
Of skin and everything. What I really like where the industry is going, I had mentioned Botox before, which I have done Botox. I do like Botox, but there are other. I think we're moving towards like a more holistic, our body working for ourselves type of situation with skincare and like the injectables, that kind of anti-aging kind of things. So like I had mentioned with the CBD, that I think takes the place of a lot of like prescription medications that dermatologists might give you for rosacea, acne, stuff like that. So I do, and I also carry some vitamins that people can take to internally change things, because everything that is happening on your skin and like on your outer appearance really does have to do with like gut health and what you're putting into your body. So I do see the industry going that way. And like I've the last med spa that I worked at, I got to learn a ton about like for instance, not plasma, the PRP, the platelet-rich plasma, which is when they take your blood, spin it into plasma, and they can inject it in different places. And that will regenerate and rejuvenate your tissue underneath the skin. Which with you, I mean, that's your body working for you. Whereas like the alternative to that, or what we had before, would have been like neurotoxin kind of stuff. So I just think that there's like a lot of good options as we move forward in the industry, and that's really exciting to me because it is like cutting edge, but not in the way where we think like plastic Barbie. It's more like cutting edge, like holistic, organic, less chemicals, and
from the inside out.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So that's why, again, with sugaring, like it kind of all fits together, because it is very organic and chemical free and all that kind of stuff. So it really, I think it works for me that way.
Right. Yeah, I can tell it needs to be genuine-ish for you.
Yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah.
Probably the most famous question: if there was one thing you could do for your skin, what would it be? Do or not do?
Do is wear SPF.
Okay.
The sun is just the most aging factor, and it's not even to touch on. I mean, it can cause cancer, but it's also if you want to keep youthful, it would definitely be SPF. But like I had said before, I think that skincare is like it touches on everything. So you want to make sure that you have like a healthy diet. You want to make sure that you work out. Also, when I'll tell you some things that can happen as we age. Our cell turnover slows down. Okay. So probably by the time you hit about 30, 35, you want to start introducing a retinol to your skin, and then also probably a glycolic. So what retinol does is that it dives deep and it makes the cell turnover quicker, and then those cells come up. And if you don't have something that like glycolic that's like sloughing it off, then you'll get like a dullness to your skin. And I know that there's a new retinol, or a plant-based retinol out. It starts with a B. I always say the wrong word for it. It's like an inappropriate word. But
what is it, Anna? What is it?
I always say, can I say it? Yeah. I always say bukkake.
Bukkake?
And it's not. It's like boo. I can't even think of the name. I don't even see it because like my brain will only go there.
Fixated on
I am. I'm fixated. So anyways, there's this new one coming out that's
someone
like better.
Will want it, you'll just start laughing.
I know. I do. I'm like,
and then you'll be apologizing again.
I know. I'm sorry. So there are more holistic ways for anti-aging. And so as we get a little bit older, there are certain things that we can incorporate. Okay. But clients, like I said, they're across the board. Sometimes I'm just working with, you need to cleanse your face. You need to,
wash that shit.
Yeah. I mean, it's across the board with who I talk to and what I recommend. It's been really interesting working with two 20-somethings because I'm like, oh my gosh, like their brain doesn't even go to where my brain goes, which is like anti-aging and wrinkles and I'm saggy, and, like their brain is like kind of like more bare bones. Like we need a cleanser, we need possibly a toner and a moisturizer, but it's different. And so that's been super interesting because my brain's been so focused on anti-aging that I am learning now from them kind of the trends and what's going on with like 20-somethings,
Nice.
Because I was past my 20s when I got into skincare. So I mean, I kind of missed that time and crossed my fingers that luckily my skin looked pretty good back then.
Right. We are resilient. That's neat that because you're different ages, everyone can learn from each other.
Yes.
That's going to be really valuable.
I think that actually, even like starting in the industry when I did, I think it was a good time to start at the age that I did because there were some girls that were like right out of high school and it was just nice to have a little bit of like life experience
Right.
under my belt, and just people experience, because we're dealing again with all different skin types. And if I would walk into a place at my current age at 42 and there's a 20-year-old working on my skin, I want to know that like you're educated in what my skin needs, not what your skin needs, right?
Right, and all the different.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is a good analogy or not, but like I started going to yoga classes when I was 30,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember the warm-ups were so long, and they would talk about being careful and warming up your chest. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, let's go for it.
Yeah.
You know? And now I get out of bed, I'm like, oh man, better take it easy, better warm up.
But it's true.
But
yes.
So,
No, I think that is a good analogy.
Yeah,
It's
the good yoga instructor, the good skincare can like teach for all ages,
Yes.
right? You can say, okay, no matter what, cleaning and moisturizing is going to be good, and then later on there'll be less of this, and
and like let's take care of, like now we can talk about serums,
right?
So yeah, it really, you do have to keep yourself educated all across the board, which I think is pretty important.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Plus you have different skin tones, different skin types.
Yeah.
How fun for you.
Yeah, it's.
I can see why you wanted to share.
I was just gonna say, can you see why the facials exhaust me?
Yeah, exactly. Let's just have some sugar.
But at the end of the day, after I do a facial, and people will text me, a week later, or a couple days, a week, whatever, later, and be so thankful and grateful that like we're changing the way that they feel about themselves, that they feel about their skin, things are better. Like, those are the times that I'm like, oh, yes, that's why.
Yeah.
And it was such a quick fix, right? Like, it was like, here, use the serum, or here, change it from using it at night to using it during the day. And, or like maybe drop milk for a little bit. And it's like, when it all clicks together, that's like, it's probably sounds really cliche, but like that's super rewarding to me.
No, it's true. I think a lot of times, because their effort doesn't necessarily happen when people think it does, because there's a lot of background for anything that's done well. There's a lot of background time spent learning. There's a lot of, like you say, you're touching people. There's a lot of energy exchange.
Yeah.
It does still sound cliche, but it's true. Like when there's a difference being made, then there's a purpose to all of it. So.
And I think like what you're like, I do put in a lot of work, so it's like nice to like have a reward, like someone just saying like, oh my gosh, my skin looks amazing, and I'm like, okay, that paid off. Like I'm glad that I spent the time learning all, like
right.
When I lay in bed and I watch Dr. Pimple Popper and I'm learning all these big
words.
Oh my gosh, there is.
Dr. Pimple Popper? Yeah. Oh. And you're worried about bionectics? Whatever it is?
Yeah, that's
awesome.
Yeah, it's a woman, I think she's in LA. Okay. And it literally is just like videos of people getting, like she's doing it. Okay. But it's like extractions, and it's my favorite thing.
That could be addicting too.
It is. What does she call Popaholics?
Popaholics. So they, is that a fetish, or like?
It is. I think it is.
And say, hey,
it's like and my daughter Cece, like, it's satisfying, Mom. Like that's with like like with slime, like they say that, and that's what it is. Like I'll like watch it before bed because I'm like, I'll just put my brain somewhere else. Yeah,
it's like your skin porn.
It is. I love it.
I love it so much. Oh my God. So I got to tell this story to everyone. Of Ann and I, we don't get together often enough, and you brought Cece over that day, and it's interesting. It's like the minute, like the kids don't want anything to do with me anymore, and
except when
I'm trying to have a private or important conversation.
Yeah. And
so they all for some reason came over and like sat right by us, and they're looking at us. I'm like, I'm irrelevant up until now.
Right.
I'm trying to talk to Ann about this juicy thing, right? and so one of us just looked at him and said, "We're talking about vaginas," and Cece goes, "Oh, Mom," like super dramatic. "Mom, why are you always talking about vaginas?" "Because you're bugging me."
Right, and they were like, bye.
Yeah, all of a sudden you just heard crickets everywhere. It was perfect.
But she's, you know what? She's going to grow up knowing a lot of stuff about vagina. I don't think that's bad.
No, it's not. I know. It's neat. I think it's great the way we're raising our kids.
Yeah, it's funny because it took her weeks. Like, I remember when I first was finally like, I'm just going to explain to her what I do. Like, you know, and she was like, there were like days in a row where she'd be like, wait, so they're naked? Like, I mean, like she just, and I'm like, yes. Like,
she
just,
shirt if they want.
Right. But yeah, I do. I mean, I love the way I'm raising her. I was raised a lot like that, you know,
That's
and
cool.
I think that it's funny because she'll come home for some reason at school. At some point they were talking about sex, like the kids were, and Cece now refers to it as the nasty, and it drives me insane because I mean, it's not, right? Like, we all know. But that's what they're calling it. And I just, it's so hard for me to hear that. And then I want to have like this big, you know, like sit down, like, well, this is what it really is. And she's like, forget it. I won't, never mind, Mom. Like, she just doesn't even want to hear it.
Nasty.
Yeah, it is nasty. So I am, for the time being, letting her roll with that. Right. But I do think when she's ready and when she wants to talk about it, like I will be very open and I will be very honest with them about all of it. You know, I was like that. My oldest daughter, Taylor, I feel like that helped our relationship to be super open about things like that. And I think she turned out well. She's okay.
Yeah, as far as I know. She keeps that other shit.
I'm the one who keeps getting pregnant, not her, so we're good.
Someone should have some talks with you, right? She's like, really? Come on.
Oh, I'm the best birth control method.
Yeah. I just be me.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I think my kids are growing up pretty, I mean, obviously growing up on a ranch around, you know, animals, you know what sex is.
Oh,
you know
sure.
how babies are made. Yet there's a difference now. You know, we have the red tents for our girls. They know they can come to any of us with, and in fact, it's too much information, you know, a lot of times.
I think it can be, Yeah. It can be over. And we're talking about girls. I mean, I have sons. I don't know what, I mean, there are times when I really do think about, like, how am I going to approach that with a son?
Well, I think it's wonderful because speaking to a lot of the moms and dads who have sons, I don't. Mm-hmm. You know, if the girls are growing up as empowered, educated, knowing their own bodies, it's also important for the boys to grow up knowing all of that too, and vice versa. Like if it's an honoring and an interest, not like this strange thing to be fearful or trying to keep up with whatever porn is on. Right. You know, then we can kind of heal as a society. There won't be as much rape. There won't be as much of, you know, all the shame type issues. Yeah. So I just tell him.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, he'll be curious, right?
I would think so. Yeah.
Bring his girlfriends too.
Yeah, I bet.
You're gonna have a talk.
That's like how my mom was though. Like she was the mom that like we all would, like my friends would talk to her about things because she just was like that. Like she was super approachable and open and honest, and I do want to be like that. Mm-hmm. To an extent. I mean, you know, you can't tell them everything, but I do want to be open for my kids' friends too, and you know, that's just who I am, and I think they know that. There's been weird kind of conversations in the car when she has friends.
All kinds of things.
She will be. She's like, ask my mom.
Yeah. So they'll come for you for the sex talks, and me for the psychedelic talks.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, exactly. We'll start doing a show.
Go to Jarecki.
You're like, you know what? We could ask the Oracle, but just go to
Exactly.
And I do think sometimes it's. Well, I don't think. I know sometimes when it is your mom, it is a little different because you don't know where the line is. So it is nice to have. That's why I'm so fortunate to have other amazing women and men around my girls, because then there's always someone to approach, or you know, you never. I'm sure there's a psychology about that. Well,
yeah. I mean, I remember my mom. Gosh, I think it was honestly when I first had told her that I had had sex.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't react the best.
Okay.
She didn't love the person I was dating. And I was 17.
But it's probably more about that.
It was more about that.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember talking to one of her best friends, and I want to say that my mom kind of like referred me to her, like was like, you need to talk to her about it because I just can't. A little bit removed. And I mean, I think that it's kind of neat that we can listen to what our kids are saying, and if a friend pops up, you know, again, I could be like, go to Jenny if you want to talk to her about psychedelic. No, I'm just,
right,
do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like we have a good, like, it's almost like a tool belt of friends and, you know, different resources that we can be like, you know, I can be there when you talk to her, but there is one person that I really think would be important for you to talk to, instead of, you know, them looking it up on the internet or like throwing them a book. Like, I do find it important. There are different people in our lives that know or are experts on different things, and I think that it's nice to have those resources and important.
Mm-hmm. As much as Veda and I try, we still sometimes fall into those roles that I try to avoid so much, like those mommy-daughter roles. Like, you know, and she'll be thinking I'm telling her what to do, and I'm like, no, I'm just imparting a story, or this is metaphor, or this is actual science. This isn't me forcing anything on you. Of course, we don't want them to have to deal with the unpleasantries that maybe, I dealt with, but then at some point it's, you know, and this particular one had nothing to do with sex. It had to deal with another matter. And I was like, you know what? Why don't you call our friend Michelle? And she's like, yes. And it was perfect because I knew it was trusted, and it was, then the pressure's off me.
Well, and honestly, Michelle could have said exactly the same thing you said.
Yep.
And it would have...
And that's what happens a lot
It would
of
have hit home, right? Like, but it just because it was someone that's not your mom. Like that...
It's someone else that they admire, and like a doctor did that the other day, Tanika, about her allergies, gave the same recommendation that I have been doing, raw local honey, you know? And Nika just looked at me like, and I'm just like, I just met this woman. I didn't pay her to say this. But then, of course, I had to tell the story 5 times. Because it is, all of a sudden they'll perk up.
Yes.
Or it's, you know, we're there all the time.
Right.
So
it helps to hear. It was a second opinion. It's fine.
Yeah, it's just a second correct opinion.
Right.
And now you'll have another boy.
Yes.
This is exciting.
Yes. So I am excited. Boys, they've been a little bit easier. But it'll even us out. So we have 2 boys and 2 girls, and the kids are so excited. This has been a neat. I almost feel like it's been a gift to them. Like they love. As Cece slept with me one night, and her arm was over my belly, and she would be. I'm sleeping, and she's like, "Mama, the baby is moving so much. Is he waking you up?" And I'm like, "No. See, actually, Cece, it's you." She must have said it like 4 times, and I'm like, "Cecilia, go to bed." Like, because I'm used to it, but it was so neat because she really, I mean, that's when the baby's like, you know, because you're laying down and the baby is up, so he was just everywhere, and it was so special for her to get to like experience that. Because it's that, then she's probably really realizing, oh my god. Like there's a human, and there's something and someone in there. Because, you know, when I'm like, oh, he's kicking right now, and you're just like waiting, and you feel like a little, you know, like, that's it. This was like, she could feel my whole belly moving, and it was really neat. And they just, I do feel like this was a total gift to and for them. They are the little, they are so loved. My kids are so loved. And I think it will teach them a little bit of like modesty and like just, you know, like. That's a nice way of putting it. They are so loved. I used the word entitled this time. So this will be a nice learning experience for them. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I can tell they're, and that's something I remember with Veda. It's like all of a sudden it starts going the other way, and it's so genuine. You know, they just want to care for and help raise up. Yes. Veda was, God, when I told her that I was pregnant, Speaking of genuine, she was like, "Oh my God!" Like, and gave me like it was so. I'm like, "How old? What? How old are you?" Like, it was just the sweetest, most genuine.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I like. I'm getting chills. Like, it was just. I don't know. It was so sweet of her, and like I genuinely felt like she was happy for me, you know, because kids
and
can
I'm
just
like,
be
wait
like,
a minute, we were gonna
I'm sorry, but I loved it. It was so
it's great,
sweet and genuine, and she is just, I don't know, there's something, she's very, I mean, both your girls are special, but Veda is just, I don't know, there's just like, she's very,
she's so eloquent with, you know, how she obviously how she expresses herself. Right. And it is genuine. So I think
I think exactly. Like I do think like that like you can say to her, like I think some kids you can be like, okay, tell Anna congratulations, whereas she takes the initiative. I mean, she takes the initiative to say, you know, how are you? Like you can tell she actually like cares and is genuinely like, what's going on in your life? You know, I don't know. She's just, I really, really like her a lot.
Yeah. Good one.
She is.
That's for true. That's for true.
Yeah, that was really, she was sweet.
Yeah, I think there's something huge to be said, like, about including our kids in our conversations, except for some of them. Right. And, having them know what we do and having them know how businesses are run. Yes. And seeing us interact, you know, with tons of people. And I mean, that's the comments I always get. And I know you do too. It's just like,
Cece and Veda are a lot of like,
kids that know how to communicate are becoming more rare.
Yeah, and it's a bummer, but it also, I mean, it makes me feel good that my kids won the kid.
Right, exactly. Yay!
You know, but I get the same comments. Cece has been walking home from school with other kids, but mostly it's the adults. Like I've had like 2 people either tell me or text me and say, I have the nicest conversation with Cece and I know everything that's going on. Is there anything I can do? Like, so I know that, I'm like, oh my God, okay.
And by the way, you have no secrets.
Not at all. None at all. So not only is she kind, she's informative.
Right. So you got to watch yourself.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Air the laundry. And that's nice. I mean, what are we hiding?
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, I got actually one of the women cooked us a meal. So like whatever. I'm good with it.
Yeah. Okay, Cece, run along and tell everyone how hungry we are.
Can you please tell them what we like to eat now?
We're specific.
Yeah.
That's awesome. She's like running around the neighborhood from house to house.
She would. She'd do it.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you for talking with me.
Yeah,
today.
This is really fun.
And if anyone can't see, we are wearing matchy shirts. My sister gave me this one, and Anna walked in with it. I thought that was pretty cool. We're twinning hard.
We are.
Aw,
Thank you so much. This is really fun.
This is great.